Dr. Linda Lancaster is a naturopathic and homeopathic physician, and she makes us stop and pause with this question. In a time of unprecedented medical technology, why are we experiencing epidemic levels of poor health, mental health, as well as physical health? She looks at the interplay of the invisible forces, and I love how she words that, the interplay of invisible forces, toxins, chemicals, heavy metals, and even opportunistic bugs like parasites, fungi, and yeast. She brings all of that together in her book, Harmonic Healing, and she also has a number of cleansing programs that have helped thousands of people. Stay tuned at the end of this summit for us to do her famous parasite cleanse, which I strongly recommend for everybody, and enjoy this interview with Dr. Linda Lancaster. Welcome back to another segment on the Freedom Kitchen Summit. I'm your host, Lisa Genza, and I'm so honored to be joined today by Dr. Linda Lancaster. Dr. Linda, thank you so much for joining me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
How did you discover the subtle body and the energy?
Oh, that I think I've always felt it because as a child, um, I felt energy. And I had to get sick first and eat poor food to realize that the food had the energy to heal me, which it did, and my friends, and my family, and then subsequently my patients.
Yeah, we don't realize how much food either contributes to our life or detracts from our life.
Yeah, and it's not only the food choices, but the food quality.
Hmm.
So we make choices. For me, look, vegetables are the most important thing on the plate because it has so much energy from Mother Nature. It's the colors, it's the rainbow that we need to nourish ourselves. But it's the way we prepare the food that also adds to the energy. It's the way we pray when the food is in front of us, which also adds to the energy. So, food for me is a connection between my soul and Mother Nature.
Hmm.
And that's pretty hard to get from the factory floors.
Yes, yes, you
It's
say that
pretty,
in your book that a body in a weakened state needs food from Mother Nature, not from a factory floor.
yes, yes. So, of course, it's really important. Sometimes it's really difficult to get that kind of food, but you can look, you can search, you can go into the health food stores, you can go to farmers markets, you can grow sprouts, you can try to have a garden. If you only have a little terrace, you can put them in pots. You could at least grow herbs on your kitchen counter because that will imbibe the food with high quality energy. We're looking for nutrient dense food. So that's how we heal. And even though we're eating such good food, there's a time for detox also. The body is like a car. So we want to change the air filter and the oil filter and give it good fuel, wash it, take care of it. So there's a time and place for everything. Sometimes we're detoxing because we're in an environment that's full of pollutants. So we find ways to detox from those pollutants because they interfere with our cellular makeup. Our cells are electromagnetic. That's that's the harmonics of it. It's the balance between the electric and the magnetic in the cells. And our cells should be nice and round. When we see things come in like poisons, like radiation, like chemicals, the cells change. They lose their integrity. Interesting. They
Mhm.
lose their integrity from poor quality.
I love that analogy because I think on so many levels we've lost our integrity.
Well, that's what I was referring to, of course. Yes, we've lost our integrity, and I think you need to eat well to find the integrity again. I feel that you need to walk your talk and really embrace what Mother Nature is giving us. We need it now more than ever. We
Mhm.
need to eat well, take care of ourselves more than ever, because we do have an innate immune system. And that innate immune system is how food is how we nourish it.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, a lot of products that are sold they're sold as food, but they're not real food.
No.
Yes. And so we're getting things when you reference the factory floor. I don't know if people are really aware of the number of chemicals that are put in the boxes and the packages and the products that they're purchasing. I know when I woke up to that about 13 years ago, I was kind of shocked because I wasn't really aware of what I was feeding my kids. So you're talking about having integrity and looking at the food choices that we're making and making sure those come from Mother Nature and that we're not adding more chemicals unnecessarily to our body.
Yes. Because we need to process what happens when we eat so many chemicals. We have to process that. And our body was not meant to process chemicals. Our body was meant to process food. When we eat our food, our liver starts to metabolize that food, whether it be protein, carbohydrates, fats. And each of those are supporting different areas. The protein, we need protein to rebuild our cells. Carbohydrates, that's the muscles. That we need carbohydrates to create muscles. Now, some people may not be able to handle grains. However, we have lots of vegetables that have carbohydrates, and we need those to maintain our muscles. And then last but not least is fats.
Yeah,
That's
I
our
need that.
nerve energy. And if there's anything that's been so disturbing in these times, it's been the neurological symptoms that people are having. There's a lot of stress. And I can tell you that good fats, are very important. Not fried foods, but good fats. So I'm a believer in that. I'm a believer that Mother Earth, Mother Nature can heal us.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. After getting my health back, I learned I need real food. There's no sense in fearing fat. I do eat my healthy fats and lots of vegetables now. I'm a huge proponent, and I was a grain addict, so the grains had to go. That caused type 2 diabetes and joint pain. We won't even get into all the symptoms I had from eating
No.
too many grains.
Yeah.
But that's probably part of our confusion is all the marketing messages that we hear about whole grains, whole grains, whole grains. I think people feel like they need to be eating those grains.
I think that whole grains are really important if your body can digest them. It's especially good for children. Children need their grains to grow, but they have to have a good gut. And a lot of our children are walking around with worms. So, I mean, it's just a common thing. It's not new. And so you find ways to clean them up and they're able to tolerate the grains.
Yeah, that is one thing that you teach. You teach a lot about parasites. And I
Mhm.
wish when I was a child that would have been addressed. I'm sure that those were the issues that I had that went back to when I was young and I always bloated when I ate, but chronic candida
Mhm.
over the years really took a toll on me
Were you given antibiotics as a
all
child?
the time. I had a lactose
That's your
intolerance.
candida picture.
Yeah.
That's the candida picture. And people don't realize, oh, I haven't had antibiotics in 20 years, but I've had this candida for more than 20 years. And it creates the ground. You know, we need to look at our terrain. So if you've got a terrain of antibiotics and chemicals and processed food, you'll have candida. But usually you'll have parasites as well. They take turns. It turns. But it's part, we're looking for the overgrowth. We don't want the overgrowth. We need our fungus. We need our terrain. But when something becomes over, you know it right away, because in the case of candida, my goodness, you usually get very depressed.
Yes.
You get depressed and you feel deprived. Like, how come I can't have that piece of bread? Right now, you can't. But if we can get things handled, you can.
Yeah.
Good bread, good bread.
Yeah. Yeah.
Homemade.
It was lactose intolerance that led to chronic sinus infections, which led to antibiotics on a pretty regular basis, which led to depression and anxiety in my late 20s. So that led to Ativan, Zoloft, Wellbutrin, type 2 diabetes at 36, joint pain. And once I cleaned up the diet, fixed the life, repaired some lifestyle choices as well. It's amazing how the body can heal.
Oh, but look at you. You're inspirational.
Well, I say it doesn't matter where your health is today. Trust me, you can get your health
You can
back.
change it. Yes, you can. It's interesting. It starts with lactose intolerance, right? And of course, as you know, because you've read Harmonic Healing, that we use a milk cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have lactose intolerance. Well, probably not now, but you have lactose intolerance.
Mm-hmm.
But what is that? It's the parasitic nature wants the milk, and it activates and aggravates the whole gut. And so every time you have milk, they're like going, I want more, I want more. So yes, we use a milk cleanse to clean that up. And it does a pretty good job.
So when I discovered the milk cleanse, I had an intuitive feeling or hit that there was something else I needed to find. And I knew I needed a parasite cleanse. And when I found the milk cleanse, I was scared to death because I thought I haven't touched milk in 13 years. But I also believed that the difference was that I was using raw milk. And so it had all of the enzymes intact. And what I've learned now about all of this pasteurized and homogenized milk is that we've killed the live enzymes. We've killed a lot of the beneficial bacteria in there. So now we're left with like lactose without lactase. And so this could be one of the reasons why we see people having problems with milk.
That too. Yeah, that too. Yes. Poor quality of the current milk. Very difficult to get raw milk, as you say. But also, when you have parasites in your system, they crave the milk. So you drink the milk and it gets them excited, actually. So whether it's raw milk or not, you can still clear the parasites with the program.
Well, I did, because when I did your program, it changed my life. Um, I mean, I've been through candida cleanses. I've cleaned up my diet over the last 13 years, but this was a whole new level of cleaning out my body. And
So let me ask you.
yeah.
Um, so you did the milk cleanse, and then after you went on to the Candida program,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yep.
Liver cleansing diet,
Liver
and
cleanse.
that and with Candida protocol.
Yes.
That's what you did. And was it easier after the milk to?
Yes.
That's the key. That is the absolute. That's what I'm talking about. Because you still had all those Candida symptoms before, and you were intolerant. And so sometimes we need to do one step at a time
Mm-hmm.
and know what we're working with. There are layers in the colon. So you're just cleaning house now. You're
Mm-hmm.
cleaning up your gut and you're finding equilibrium. You're finding peace.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And I will say, so I did it again at the end of the school year because I ended up with a significant amount of stress during the school year. I had another situation that happened with my business. And when I'm under stress, that tends to drive some emotional eating and possibly cortisol, other things going on. And so by the time I got to the end of the school year, I was like, I want to do that all over again. So I did that again in May at the end of the school year. And I thought, I'm starting fresh for the summer. it truly is like a restart for me. It is peaceful.
Yeah, it's a reset for sure. Yeah.
So
You
you
sleep
do,
like a baby. You sleep like a baby.
yeah, yeah,
And you're actually getting quite nourished of something that you haven't been able to digest. Then your digestion opens up and it's easy to clean. And when I say clean, I don't mean a lot of formulas to clean. I mean clean by the food. You know, our vegetables are prebiotic.
yeah. It's all very natural. The mono diet and then the liver cleansing diet. It's
Yeah.
all very natural.
And then we can go to maintenance eventually.
So, what made you focus on parasites? And you go into more detail in the book about other emotional drivers, as well as to why we might harbor certain types of parasites in our body.
You know, I I I started doing natural food and cleaning up, and I worked in a health food store, and I just knew there was still something more. And eventually I heard about Dr. Hazel Parcells in New Mexico. And she taught me how to read for parasites. And I did the program with her. And I realized that that was the missing link in getting my patients well. I was a homeopath. I still am a homeopath. I'm a homeopath. I'm a nutritionist. I was a diet consultant, naturopathy, used herbs, used detoxification protocols. But until I was able to really focus on clearing the levels of parasites. Now, when we talk about parasites, we're not just talking about worms, because let's face it, candida is a parasite.
Mm-hmm.
It lives off of you. My interpretation of parasite is you're the host and these guys are living on you. And if they get too big, then you're not in control of your body anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is to find peace and harmony within your gut, not to eradicate and continue to try to eradicate and kill and kill and kill. I'm not a believer of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a believer that we have 5 parasites, and I connected it to the 5 elements according to Ayurveda. We can actually integrate it with Chinese 5 elements as well, but let's stay with 5 elements from Ayurveda or yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have worms. Lots of people have worms. It's been with us for eons. It's not because we're dirty. You know, if you have a pet in the house, you can very well know you better do a milk cleanse once a year.
Mm-hmm.
So there's worms. And then there is fungus. So those two are worms you can see with the visual eye. Then there's candida, fungus, and then there's bacteria. Bacteria, we know about bacteria, staph, streps, uh, co-infections, babesia, and all those are bacteria, and they live on us. And so to try to eradicate with antibiotics after antibiotics, it doesn't do it. We need to change the environment of the gut. Then we have microscopic parasites, and I separate that because those are the ones we don't see. We have amoeba, we have Lyme disease, it's a spirochete. Then we have the last one that people are talking about these days is virus.
Mm-hmm.
Viruses live within us. We all have viruses. How many people have had a flu? How many people have been vaccinated? We have viruses. And the way to overcome viruses is by will, by spiritual will. Now that may sound funny with all the things that have been going on these last 2 years, but I can tell you that the people who recover are the ones that know they can, because they know that they have a good immune system.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things that we suggest to do that, but more than anything, it's the food.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just take a bunch of pills and live your old way. You need the food. The food has the energy, you know. We have, so according to the way I look at it in the 5 elements, we have worms, and that's connected to the earth element. So we use herbs to clear up the parasites because it's from earth, Mother Earth. Then we have fungus, as you know, very intimately.
Mhm.
um, it's about water. It's connected to the water element. So the biggest thing about candida is the emotional aspect of being deprived of the food that you really want to eat. But as your body changes, you really don't want to eat that anymore. And I know that sounds strange, but you really choose a different path. So in doing that, you're also strengthening your own emotional field. Then there's bacteria. Bacteria is the fire element. It's when we have fevers. And my treatment for that has always been homeopathy. But we can do it with herbs as well. But homeopathy can put a fire out. You know, we have so many remedies for that. And then the microscopic parasites have to do with the air element. And the air element is oxygenating, breathing, using herbs that are oxygenating herbs. And that's what we're using in our microscopic parasite cleanses. We're using herbs such as cayenne. We're using cranberry powder. These are high oxygen herbs and seem to work well with the digestion. Okay, the last one again is the ether. And I talk a lot about this. And the ether is connected to the virus. And viruses are information. They teach us. And boy, we're getting a lot of lessons being taught these days. But how we overcome a virus is through our own willpower and knowing who we are and why we're here. So that got a little esoteric. I apologize.
No, I
But
love it.
this is no time to be afraid. This is the time to trust Mother Nature to heal. And I have been saying that for years, and especially in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Mhm.
You know, my other question, Dr. Linda, is this was my logic. If ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and artemisinin are working on people with COVID symptoms, those are all antiparasitic.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
So,
there is only parasites,
right.
okay, in an environment that happens to be polluted. There are 5 categories of parasites, and that's what we're dealing with right now. And as a matter of fact, in this disease that's going on these days, um, it turns into bacteria. That's what happens when it goes into the lungs.
Yes, and I've been saying that too, that that is most likely a secondary bacterial infection that ends up in the lungs that's
Yes, the
being,
doctors know that for sure.
yeah.
So it's a new way of looking at things. It's beyond these times. It is how the body gets well, and it is how the body gets sick. So, I mean, for me, I don't see any other choice but to really just talk about food, the importance of really eating well. Don't put poison in your body.
Yes, because you talk about a body in a weakened state, and because we're not eating foods from Mother Nature, I would posit that most people don't realize their body is in a weakened state.
No, most of them are using stimulants, so they wouldn't know that. And then one day they collapse.
Yeah.
You know, if we're not having a good night's sleep and waking up in the morning and said, yay, this is another day, then we're weak in some way, because every day is a blessing. This is the time for gratefulness and a great time to teach. And this subject is dear to my heart. As you know, I've done a lot of cooking classes in my day.
Yeah, me too. Not by design.
Me neither. We've been shoved into these positions. Yeah.
Yeah,
I first started out as just counseling for food, and then of course all the other stuff came in. And
yeah. Well,
there's time for medicine.
yeah.
Well, I choose natural medicine. I mean, I'm a naturopath, so that's what I choose.
I've had in my experience, and it was my own experience, so of course this is what I witness in other people, that we're sort of cut off here. We're overthinking. It's the information age, so we overthink everything, and we've lost touch with what our body wants or needs. That's why, too, when I say I don't think most people realize they're in a weakened state, is because they're not in touch with their body.
Yeah. I first try to say to people, learn how to think with your heart and feel with your mind. If you can do that, then you'll realize the most important thing to do is to take care of the temple we live in.
And you do that also with yoga, right? And
I
breath
do.
work.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that was important for me too on
And
my journey.
movement. And movement is really important.
Yeah, yeah,
You
because
know, sometimes I'll spend 10 hours at my desk and I'll realize I haven't gotten up and I don't feel well. Then I'll take a walk around the property and then it'll all come back because it wasn't too far away. But you keep doing that every day and you will feel the repercussions of lack of movement.
mm-hmm.
Even micro movements. Sometimes you'll see me when I'm lecturing and I have to move around a little. I apologize. Yeah.
You're
So
so cute. I love your energy.
thanks. Um, yeah, we really need to realize that we are in a body, and it's a spiritual body. So don't abuse it.
Yeah, a spiritual body that needs movement, it needs sunshine, it needs food from Mother
Water.
Earth, and it needs our feet and our hands in the soil. There's a movie on that, on grounding or earthing. We need to be in connection with Mother Earth, right? And eating foods from Mother Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's how we heal and it's how we sustain our energy. You can get away with it for a while, but you will get diagnosed with something.
Yeah.
And then it's harder to turn it around. You know, diagnosis takes time to retrack and to retrace.
Yeah.
So, and the way to do it is through food, through healing, through food.
Yeah, food is so important. That's why I really wanted to have this summit now, especially with the fears over this virus or any others. We have to get back to eating real food, not just for ourselves and our own health, but for the health of the planet. We can't continue on the trajectory we're on. And what are we leaving our kids? We're leaving them shelves of chemical laden products. And I think we can do better than that.
Yeah, it's everywhere. The chemicals are everywhere. They're in the air. You know, that's why I promote taking therapeutic baths. They're, it's just in our environment. And what I can say about eating food to balance your cellular makeup, even though we're getting bombarded by all that, the food and nutrition and what it's doing to the cells is stronger than that. It's stronger because of the energy field of the food. It's recharge. We are not just another, you know, we are not going to be taken down by the chemicals unless we also eat the chemicals in our food. So we're nourishing ourselves because we have this spiritual being, and we're also saying, okay, I'm doing everything possible to take care of myself, and I will be okay. Because we can really freak out with what's going on in the world. So I'm just promoting that take care of your body, know who you are, do your meditation, do your kindness. And meditation doesn't have to be sitting down and, saying Om. Meditation is going for a walk in the forest. If maybe you don't live in the forest, take a walk in the park. The trees are there.
Mm-hmm.
And the trees are one of the most important plants or on this planet because they talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
They let each other know what's going on as we do through our energy field to others.
Yes, we do.
So there is a transmission from our fields and transmission to each other. That's what's important to know. So let's keep our energy clear and clean so that we are transmitting love, harmony, healing, and gratefulness and kindness. That will outweigh the rest.
Yeah, and those are all higher vibration. I don't know if people are aware of the work of like Dr. David Hawkins, but shame and guilt are very low vibration. And so that's what we are getting is a lot of indoctrination in the media about what we should be doing or shouldn't be doing. And so then that causes criticism and shame and guilt, and that lowers our vibration. So as you were talking about the trees communicating with each other, I sure hope that as we communicate with each other, we're at love or above.
Yes, not down in the fear. We don't need to be in the fear.
No.
We need to trust. We need to trust that God has a plan and we're part of the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to wrap up with I do want to show this because it's been life-changing for me. The milk cleanse was intuitive. I found you intuitively, and your book has touched my soul. This was more than intellectual reading. I have already run a couple groups this year for anyone feeling they needed some support to go through the milk cleanse. I believe so strongly in detoxification. I've been teaching detoxification for 13 years. I didn't really know why, except that I felt some urge and need that we needed to clean up the planet and clean up as many people as we could. And now I know why.
Yes, we know why.
Yes, and I've always promoted parasite cleanses. I've always suggested one a year, and that was before I found yours. And the milk cleanse is the most peaceful. First of all, it's the easiest cleanse I've ever done. It's not difficult to do. I was very satisfied, and everyone who's done it, and I've had students of mine who have passed tapeworms, roundworms, and everyone has come out the other side feeling refreshed, better, lost some weight, cleared the brain fog. So the work that you've done researching energy and parasites, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for this book and this product. I know that you can't like see everybody in the world, but this is a great way to help everybody in the world, Dr. Linda.
That is why I wrote the book. I knew that I couldn't see it. And I felt that this system of harmonic healing can integrate with almost any program as a base of how to take care of ourselves. And so I wrote that book because I couldn't see that many people.
Yeah. How long have you been doing the milk cleanse?
Oh, me? Gosh, 30, more than 30 years. God, maybe 33 years, something like that. We've been
Yeah.
doing that. I've been in practice for 40 years, 41 almost. And the milk cleanse, I would say, came in pretty quickly.
Yeah. So
Homeopathy first. I would never give up homeopathy, no matter what, because we can get rid of worms with homeopathy as well. but I like the physical practice of actually detoxing, because the peace that the milk cleanse brings is beyond anything that I've experienced in my life in healing. So,
Yeah, 13 years I've been detoxing. I've tried numerous products. I've done numerous practices, and nothing has been as enjoyable. It's how do you call a parasite cleanse enjoyable? But I do.
you feel good pretty quickly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's just easy. What can I tell you? Thank you, Dr. Hazel Parcells, who taught me that protocol.
Yeah.
I had to
Well,
change it for the times. I had to actually change it a bit for the times because things have gotten worse.
yeah.
All sorts of parasites. There's another category that's out there right now.
Well, we're hearing about long haulers that have,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And I do recommend it for that.
Yeah.
And get on the food. Get on the food and
Yeah.
trust that it will work. My patients have not really had long haul.
Yeah.
So, but I know that there was something missing. That's why it was not just because of what has occurred. The underneath the ground, the terrain was not good. So
That's what I believe too. The people that I'm hearing that from, I don't think had.
can't just blame it on the virus. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's more than virus there from my record, from my studies, from my research. There's
Yeah.
more than virus there. But it feels like you have virus, and it's just as it feels as if you've had an EBV. An EBV comes when everything is out of whack.
Yeah. Yeah. We want everyone to clean up, not
Yep.
only for themselves, but for everyone else, because we are all connected. We are all one. And so my goal of the summit is to show everyone how supported they are with all of these amazing resources. And I thought it was so important to talk about the subtle energy today and also talk about the parasites and let everyone know the resources that you have available to support them and help them.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be on. I know how busy you are, but I am so grateful for all of your work, Dr. Linda.
Oh, it's really my pleasure, because if we can get together like this and really tell the truth, then we're doing great service for the world,
Yes.
because Mother Nature heals.
Yes.
And how we connect with Mother Nature is through our food.
Yes. Yes. We'll make sure that we put all the links for your book and the
Okay.
milk cleanse and
Thank
everything
you.
on your speaker bio page so that all of the listeners will be able to find that.
Oh, thank you.
I hope that everyone finds this fascinating. And if you have questions, you can even reach out to me. I can answer questions about my experience with the milk cleanse. I'm happy to help you through that process. And until next time, farewell.